Hi, please like our videos and subscribe to our channel, and make sure you click on a bell and switch on all notifications so you are notified when we are uploading new videos, which we are doing every day. Before we create our basket, what I want to do is to add a functionality to my button that whenever my user clicks, we are going to show an alert and tell the user that the item was added to the basket, even though currently we're not adding anything to anywhere. So if I go to my ready application, I just click here. Okay, now it's asking me to log in. But the idea is whenever I click here, it brings a pop-up and asking me, actually informing me that the item was added to the basket. Now this is what we are going to do. So in our drinkdetail.swift file, after our end scroll view here, when we add these two parameters to our scroll view, I'm going to add an alert. And my alert is actually alert. And we have is presented. And here you can see the type is binding boolean. So what the binding means, in SwiftUI there are state of things. So this alert is either shown or hidden. So we are going to have some kind of variable that remembers the state of our alert. So by default it's going to be hidden, and whenever we change the value of this variable, in our case whenever we click on our button we are going to switch the value, all the user interface will be refreshed, and when it comes to our alert it will check this variable name and it will see that the value was changed from false to true because it's a boolean, and it will display our alert automatically to the user. So in order for us to have a binding bool, this is where the state variables come. So we just say at state private var, and here we are going to give some kind of name to our variable. I'm going to call this showing alert, and this is going to be equals to false by default. And now in order to use this, here we are going to pass our variable name. So I'm going to say showing alert, but this will not accept it because it's a binding. So what it does it mean is that this alert is going to be getting the information every time there is an update to our showing alert variable. So if you click on a fix, it will ask you to put the $sign in front of the variable. So this is how in SwiftUI, the SwiftUI knows that this is a binding variable. And then for the content, we are just going to get rid of this part and just put curly braces, and here we are going to put our alert, and our alert is going to have a title. And a dismiss button. So the title is going to be text, and I'm going to say added to basket. As no message, so we're not going to put anything. And dismiss button is just let's put a type to be default, and label is going to be text, and let's just say okay. Right, so this is our button, not our button, this is the alert. And if I run my code now, nothing is going to happen because we're not doing anything to our button, so that this show alert view, showing alert is always false, and we're not changing the state of it so that our button, when we click on it, it switches the state, and then it's going to show our alert there. So if we just had a button here instead of a separate file button, which I'm going to just comment out in order just to demonstrate how it works. Let's say a button. Let's label text, add to basket. And here I'm going to take my showing alert, and we say toggle. What toggle means is it actually switches the value. So if it was false, it switches to true, and if it was true, it switches to false. And now it's actually, we need to use the self here. Okay, and if I run, now we have this simple button here, and if I click on it, you see everything refreshes, because whenever I click, I am changing the value of showing alert variable. And then it refreshes because this is the state of the user interface is changing. This is what we are telling our compiler here, that this is linked to a state. So once the state changes, it refreshes our view, comes here. Once it reaches our alert, it sees that it has to check for the showing alert, and says that the value has changed and it's true now. So it just shows us the alert view. What we need to do actually is, because right now we have access to this showing alert because we are inside of our main struct here where our showing alert is created. But since our order button is a different struct, that this struct has no idea about our showing alert. So in order for that to work, we need to pass the information to our order button. But I cannot just come here and create another @state variable and call this showing alert and just make it work, because in this case we will have two different variables and we need to keep them all the time in synchronization. The best thing, actually the only correct thing here to do, is we are going to create a binding variable. What the binding variable means is that we are telling our compiler that this variable is going to just get the information, the state in our case, from another variable. So by itself, there is no value for it. It just gets the value from another variable there. So if I go to my order button, create an, let's say at binding var, and I'm going to call, you can call this anything you want. I'm just going to call this show alert, and this is not exactly same thing that we have here. Here we have showing alert. So I'm trying to show you that this name of the variable doesn't have to do anything with the top variable name. And this is going to be type of Boolean. And pay attention, we are not setting any value to this because it's going to get the value of our showing alert from our other struct. So for this to work now, we need to, whenever we are creating our order button, we need to tell our order button what the binding variable it has. So right now we are creating our order button with a drink object in it, and I need to just remove this. And if I put my curly braces here, you will see that it has showing alert binding bool now. So here we can pass our showing alert, and again I need to put a $sign, then we say showing alert, and the drink is going to be our drink here. So right now we are passing the information to our order button from our showing alert, and then when we go to our order button, and instead of added to basket here, what I'm going to do is to take my showing alert here, and I'm going to toggle it here. So I'm going to say self.showAlert.toggle. And what this will do is not only switch the value of this show alert, but it's going to switch the value of showing alert view here in a completely different struct. So these two things are now linked together. And let's try to see if it actually works now. As you can see, it shows the alert now. I can click OK to dismiss it. If I click again, it shows again. And this is how the state variables work and how binding is working. So whenever you have some kind of state which is used in order to show different views, different states of the view, you can, if you want to transfer this to another view, you are going to use the binding. So it just takes the information and passes from one view to another. So you can update different variables between the two views.